Hi everyone, welcome to another video about Cesium Scheduler. In this video, we'll walk through how to configure a task executor and set up a workflow and see it in action. For this demo, we'll set up a MySQL backup script that runs every night at 1 a.m. UTC and then copies the backup over to an S3 location. Here's what a visual representation of that looks like. You need to have Cesium text running on some machine somewhere with access to the MySQL database that you want to take a backup of. And once that is ready, it's going to run an S3 copy command to copy the backup file over into S3. So I'm going to reuse an existing workspace that I have created where you can see the workspace and the task executor that I've already set up. Once you have the task executor created, you can, to configure it, you need to go into the details and download the config file that comes along with it. If you open the config file, you're going to see a bunch of properties. We are interested in these three, which are the most important ones. You have the text ID, the password, and the tenant ref ID. You need to copy these over into the text config. So once you download the task executor from the documentation, you need to unzip it into an appropriate location. Once you unzip it, you will see these folders in there. You'll see bin, lib, logs, config, and workflows. To configure text, you need to open up the properties file inside config, which is called textconfig.properties, and paste the text ID, password, and tenant ref ID. Once you do that, to start up task executor, it's pretty straightforward. You need to run the start cesium.text shell script that lives inside the bin folder. Once you do this, you'll start seeing the logs appear in the logs folder. I'm going to start tailing these logs so we can see what's happening. So let's do a tail -10f. You can see it's connected successfully to the Cesium scheduler running in the cloud, and you can see heartbeat actions that let the cloud service know that text is up and running. Right? Once you have text running, you need to set up the new workflow. I'm going to call this workflow MySQL backup. I'm going to say backup of MySQL DB. You need to choose the workspace where this workflow needs to live. So I'm going to choose the infrastructure workspace, and I'll choose the infra-text as the task executor that needs to execute this workflow. I need to set up a schedule for this, which is a cron expression. So 1 a.m. UTC is 01 star star star. So every night of every month at 1 a.m. This is going to run. I need to set up the workflow code for this, and here's what that looks like. I need to provide a ID to the workflow definition, and I have two tasks. The first task is a bash task, which runs the MySQL dump command, and I can pass the arguments to say this is the database I need to take a backup of, and here is where the output file needs to be put in. The next step in the workspace is again bash task, where I'm going to run the AWS S3 command, and I'm going to say run, copy this dump file that just got created and copy it over to this S3 location. So I'm going to take this workflow definition, paste it in here. I don't need any environment variables for this, but if I needed to, it's pretty simple. You just need to say add variable and pop in a key value pair. I'm not going to set up any notifications for this either. We can see that in another video. So once this is set up, you can do a couple of things. You can see the details of this particular workflow that has just been set up. You can also see the view history, which has no data at the moment. Cesium also has the capability to run workflows on demand, which I'm going to do now because I don't want to wait till 1 a.m. UTC. So when you say run now, it asks me what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to say taking a MySQL backup, and I'm going to say run now, right? As soon as I hit this, and I'm going to pop over to the logs that I've been tailing, and you can see this got a request to run the cloud workflow. It ran the first command successfully, and once that was completed, it started running the backup to S3 command as well. So my connection seems to be a little slow today, so it's going to take some time. Fingers crossed. I hope this works. So while that's happening, I can walk you through the history page. So for every workflow, there is a history page. So you can see that I requested this workflow. This was an on-demand run. If this was a scheduled one, you would see scheduled over here. And you can see the requested time, start time. At any moment, you can see the current state of the specific steps as well. So you can see MySQL backup has started. The first step succeeded. The second step has started, but not yet finished. Let me pop back over to this one. Okay, cool. So this seems to have completed. I'm going to refresh the history page and you'll see success. You can click on this task status and you can also see, yep, all the tasks in here have completed successfully. Right. Thank you for watching this video. I'll record more demos of different workflows